Do you think that our suffering actually is the thing that allows us to become compassionate?
I think it is one thing. I think people are always saying, that trying to find purpose in the things that happen, and I think it's not that it just brings purpose. You find it, or it finds you somehow. Somehow it finds you. And it's purposeful, um, not because, not just because you're suffering, but because of what's underneath that suffering. What is it that you discover? For me, and the question that now I imagine will find life is, for me, it was the question of my life has become, what is the grief beneath the grievance? For me, I came up against a lifetime of unacknowledged grief, of unacknowledged, I would say, unacknowledged resentment, unacknowledged biases. I mean, and and I had to look what was underneath all of that. What were those things that I held on to that maybe left me a little edgy and angry? And there's nothing wrong with being angry. It's staying angry, and it's harboring anger, and letting it fill your body up, and let it inform. For me, a lot of the work that I did out in the world was informed by my anger. It was motivated by my anger, and it was unsustainable. I really believe that was in part how my cancer surfaced. And I believe that the cancer really was asking me to kind of take a look at that. And that's what it was for me. I never suggest for anyone else to adopt my point of view on that. But for me, it really was one of those times where I was spoken to through cancer. And now I'm still passionate. I still want to point to things that I think in the world maybe need some attention, but it's not fueled from that place that it was. So that's the shift for me. And it's been a while to find that new voice, because it is a different voice than before.
If you were to say it was connected to one place, where would you say that new and different voice is connected to?
Without sounding trite, and I do a lot of listening. I do most everything that happens right here on this front porch, and you know, Spirit, God. I feel very guided. I feel very guided most of the time. I still feel isolated and alone, and have all those feelings, but I'm aware that they're just feelings. But most of the time, I recognize now when I'm out of sync, when I'm reacting to something as opposed to responding to something. I feel that there was a time in my life where I reacted mostly, and now I can see myself reacting, and my turnaround time's a little less. It's not as long.
If there was one piece of advice that you could say was the worst advice you were ever given in your life.
The worst advice I've ever given?
You were ever given.
Oh, that I was
ever given in your life. What would it be?
That is so easy. And it's a refrain from my childhood, and I'm sorry, Mom, but the worst message I ever got was children should be seen and not heard. It took a lifetime, it seems like it took a lifetime, and it probably didn't take a lifetime, because I found that, and maybe that was the fuel. Maybe that was the worst thing, was my fuel. But I felt like I didn't believe for a very long time that I had a right to have a voice in things. Which is interesting, because I probably shouted louder than most. But it was because of that. So that was some... Don't tell your kids that.
So what was the best piece of advice you've ever been given to date?
Oh my goodness. Okay, the best advice I've ever been given.
Funny how that's the tricky one, isn't it?
The
worst one's easy.
The worst one's easy. The best one... Well, the best one was from probably someone that that I don't know personally, but read, and this is probably 25 years ago, maybe 28 years ago, was that you are your greatest critic and you are your greatest champion. And that contradiction lives in you, and you get to choose. Now, I didn't live by that, but I did hear it, and it stuck with me. But it's that living with the contradiction that I am both of those things. I am the greatest critic. I'm the person that stops me the most, and I'm the person that frees me the most. And it all comes down to me, and that no one else holds the keys to my life, my future, anything. Don't tell your kids that.
So what was the best piece of advice you've ever been given to date?
Oh my goodness. Okay, the best advice I've ever been given.
Funny how that's the tricky one, isn't it?
Tricky
the
one,
worst
yeah.
one's easy.
The worst one's easy. The best one. Well, the best one was from probably someone that that I don't know personally, but read, and this is probably 25 years ago, maybe 28 years ago, was that you are your greatest critic and you are your greatest champion. And that contradiction lives in you, and you get to choose. Now, I didn't live by that, but I did hear it, and it stuck with me. But it's that living with the contradiction that I am both of those things. I am the greatest critic. I'm the person that stops me the most, and I'm the person that frees me the most. And it all comes down to me, and that no one else holds the keys to my life, my future, anything. And again, it took me years and years before I understood it, but I did hear it. And that ultimately no one else is responsible for anything that happens to me. Mm-hmm. Which, I wasn't really crazy about hearing that. So.
So if there was one thing you would want to say in closing to anyone who sees this piece, what would that be?
Oh my goodness. Anything. The only thing I would say is, it's not the answers, it's the questions.
Perfect. And how does our audience find you?
They can find me at mollysecours.com. They can find me on Nashville Magazine starting next month. But mollysecours.com, anything probably more than you would ever want to know. You can find out, you can see my videos, you can read writing, that's pretty much it.
So
or you can see me on the front porch.
we want to spell that, just so.
Okay, mollysecours.com is Molly, M-O-L-L-Y, Secours, SECOURS.com. Awesome. Thank you for taking the time today. It is absolutely been my privilege to meet you and to get to archive a little piece of Molly. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming. Both Simone and I appreciate you coming.
And Simone is that beautiful, gorgeous dog that we just took a picture of a little while ago, which will be part of this video, I promise. So thank you.